What did you do, Ally? What did you do?
Obviously, I don't want to spoil it, but I will flesh it out a little bit by saying it was a duet between me and the dice, and that's Brennan's least favorite thing is when the dice tell him he has to all of a sudden decide ghosts are real. It was a situation like that, but it's very in the vein of Kristen.
Welcome to the Character Sheet, comicbook.com's official home for tabletop and fantasy news. I'm Christian Hoffer, and today I'm joined by a very special guest. I'm joined by one of the cast members of Dimension 20, Ally Beardsely. How are you doing today, Ally?
I'm great. I'm sick today, but I'm excited to be here virtually.
Oh man, you're toughing it out for us. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Hopefully, this is like is it like one of the cool illnesses, or is it like something gross?
Yeah, great question. It's kind of a sore throat, so I think maybe not as cool as some other things.
Well, and so I can't wait to grill you with really complex questions. That's going to take a lot of time.
Yeah.
So we are here to talk about a really, really awesome thing. Dimension 20 Fantasy High Junior Year. People have been wanting this for years, and quite frankly, the fan base never thought would happen because sophomore year ended on, it seemed like the story had wrapped up. So why return to Fantasy High?
Yeah, that's a great question. I do think we are all like completionists at heart, and high school is 4 years for some. So yeah, I think we were just like, there's still more gas in the tank.
What do you think is like the enduring appeal to Fantasy High? Because Dimension 20, one of the kind of the shticks of it is every season's different, and Fantasy High is only one of 2 seasons that you guys, well, I guess 3 if you count Crown of Candy, but other than that, that was like a side thing. But this is one of only 2 settings that you guys have returned to multiple times. So what's so appealing about it?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. It's definitely, it's fun. I think it's like fun for us to go back to something that's kind of like silly. A lot of the seasons are like silly in premise. Like that's the comedy of it. It's like, Game of Thrones plus Candyland. Like that's very silly. But this one I think is just kind of like has a soft spot in all of our hearts of like these John Hughes movies. It's kind of like Breakfast Club, but like of like rejects. And it's the first one, so I think we're all just kind of like, we were such different people at the time of recording the very first season, so it feels like really nostalgic.
And that's kind of like an interesting thing because in the in its junior year, so only at the start of the show or start of the season, only 2 years have passed with your character. But I mean, you guys have done so many of these seasons, and for a lot of you, it was your first time playing Dungeons and Dragons when you did Dimension 20, or you guys weren't like super pros at it. Now you're like touring the UK playing Dungeons and Dragons in front of sold out crowds of thousands of people. So like, how do you like have things changed because of your familiarity with Dungeons and Dragons? Because you're much more comfortable like playing the game. Has that like shifted how you approach, Fantasy High at all?
Yeah, definitely. I had never played before, and so a lot of the kind of like, I think, chaos and sloppiness that is true to the character that I'm playing, Kristen, was coming out of like not being able to do anything but that. And so for this season, I just know like the mechanics a little bit better, and I can have more fun kind of like working with class features and knowing which dice to roll, like it goes as deep as that. And so yeah, it's been fun to kind of like choose the moments that now I see like a fork in the road where I didn't before, where it's like, here's a really great game move I can make. Would I rather make like a sloppy character move because this is like a junior in high school and she wouldn't know any better? Like that feels more fun, a little bit more advanced.
So I do have to ask this. One of the things that always like struck me about Fantasy High was, there's like obviously a nostalgia out there when it comes to high school, just high school in general. But a lot of us hated high school. Were you somebody who had like pleasant memories, or was this like, did this trigger your high school PTSD?
The second one for sure. I hated high school.
Does any of that like factor in? Because like, Fantasy High is like, you finally get to live your like idyllic high school life, like the one that, they show on TV, and like none of us got to experience it. And it's like, is there anything that you do in Fantasy High that you always wanted to do in high school but didn't?
Yeah, I do think like having like a group of friends, like a lot, like 6 friends that are always hanging out, always, like that's was unheard of for me in high school, at least. You might have like a couple like solid friends, but like, yeah, it's kind of this like group mentality that makes it so fun, and we're all like, literally fighting for each other. It seems like a really like fun, like almost kind of like, yeah, like friendship fantasy or something. Like even besides all of the magic, you're just like, whoa.
It's like, so this is what it was like to have friends.
Yeah, totally.
So when I have to ask, did you, after the first 2 seasons of Fantasy High aired, did you go back and watch them at all, or are you one of those people who's like, I did it once and I'm never going back again?
Oh, I totally watched. Yeah, I really liked the game. I was super new to the game, so it was fun because I was starting to watch things like Critical Role and Adventure Zone and like a few of these other kind of like even these like one-offs where like it was like celebrities playing D&D. I was just kind of like, what are other people up to when they like prep for a season like that? So it was kind of fun to be like watching, like almost like athletes where they have to like rewatch the tape and see what mistakes they made. Like I was kind of like there with my little legal pad of like, oh, interesting, I had this, like I could have used this. Or
well, and that perfectly leads into my next question, which were there any decisions that if you could go back now, knowing all that you know now, is there anything that you would have done differently, or that you were like surprised about? Like you're watching that and like, why did you do that, Ally? Why did you do that? Like, just sitting there like, I can't believe you made that decision.
I mean, yeah, now I'm kind of, I go back and I watch it and I'm like, wow, that was like a chaos that I don't have access to anymore, which is unfortunate. Jumping off of like a balcony with a ribbon dancer and thinking maybe Brennan would like let me fly. Like, I don't have access to that level of chaos anymore. I do love how we were absolutely using bless incorrectly the entire first season. And that was a big conversation we had to have where kind of felt like Brennan was taking a toy away from us. He was like, hey guys, we can't, not everyone at the table gets blessed because you cast bless. Like you have to pick only a certain number of people and use spell slots to go higher. And it only works for these specific roles. And, it was very funny.
Now it's kind of interesting that you bring up that you don't have access to this chaos, because earlier today, Dropout actually released a little like minute-long vignette featuring you, in which you apparently do something that made Brennan threaten to quit. So what if it's not just like your sheer unbridled chaos? What did you do, Ally? What did you do?
Obviously, I don't want to spoil it, but I will flesh it out a little bit by saying it was a duet between me and the dice, and that's Brennan's least favorite thing is when the dice tell him he has to all of a sudden decide ghosts are real. It was a situation like that, but it was very in the vein of Kristen. Yeah.
I shouldn't feel bad for Brennan because he is just as guilty. He likes to pull stuff on you guys all the time. But I sometimes watch, the Intrepid hero shenanigans, and I'm just like absolutely like mortified. It's like I don't know how I would be able to rein any of this in. Like Brennan is kind of a saint for how he kind of just like keeps you on course, because I would just be like on the floor, either huddled in the ball or dying of laughter, or both.
It's so funny because he's so capable of that amount of chaos, but he made the show, so he has to keep it on the rails. So it's really funny when he gets moments where, it's usually adventuring party, but where one of us takes over hosting, and then he can really be, a mischievous little guy. And then you get to see the true nature of Brennan.
Yeah. No, I always forget, when Brennan guest stars in like other shows, I'm like, oh God, he's one of them too.
Totally. Totally.
So before we turn this over to our world famous lightning round, I do have one final question. What do you think will be the biggest surprise for returning Fantasy High fans with this season?
Ooh. I hope this isn't giving too much away, but the Night Yorb.
Okay. Well, we're going to bring Pete on. Pete is our Dimension 20 superfan. He has prepared. Oh, before Pete hops on, we were talking with Siobhan earlier, and we're going to make sure that her interview airs before yours. And she said, we asked her which one of the cast members has the worst British accent. And she said you. And now I'm going to put you on the spot and say, we really need to hear this British accent.
Oh, of course, love. Let's just say, I can't really get into that place, but I was doing a fake British accent on set, kind of a lot. And I do agree with Siobhan that mine is the worst.
It's like we're gonna as soon as this interview's over, you're gonna go and text Siobhan and
exactly.
Like how dare you? Sorry, I had to put you on the spot like that.
Oh no, it's definitely allowed.
Okay, only with bad British accents. Okay, let's bring Pete on, because Pete has some even more ridiculous questions than anything I could ask.
All right, time for a little quick lightning round.
Great.
So, in honor of the return of Kristen Applebees, what is the other most fantasy-sounding restaurant chain? And I'll give you some options.
Great.
Fuddruckers, Wetzel's, Dairy Queen, Black Bear, White Castle, or wildcard, Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles.
I gotta go with White Castle or Dairy Queen. I think, yeah.
Fun fact: White Castle is based right here in Columbus, Ohio. I get all the sliders that I want.
Oh my God.
They literally used to be, their headquarters used to literally be a White Castle.
Wow.
Now, fun fact, in Vegas, we got a White Castle, and they destroyed the bathroom within 1 hour.
Oh my God.
And it closed.
No.
Yeah, it's gone now.
I believe that.
All right. Kirsten has a habit of dying and meeting gods or godlike entities. If she pulls off the three-peat and dies this season, what do you think she sees this time?
Oh my gosh. I know this is supposed to be rapid, but this is the main problem of this new season is Brennan and I had to have an honest conversation where we were like, Kristen's god died. Did she fail? Is she still in school? Is she allowed to be there? So now I would think, if she dies, what does she see? Man, that's such a great question. God, I guess she probably sees Tracker or something. A really sad ex.
It's a sad little werewolf.
Yeah.
All right. Starstruck Odyssey saw you guys flying around in the Red Hot. You had in Crown of Candy, you're in candy carriages and you were on cheese ships. If you could pick one food-based dream vehicle for this season of Fantasy High, what would it be?
Ooh, it's a little shrimp mobile.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, nice.
Siobhan picked a banana split mobile.
Oh, yeah, that's cute.
All right, and then two more quick ones. The last one, or the second to last one, is Kristen's undergone a lot of changes with her faith and her identity since freshman year. So now that she's in junior year, is there a song or a band on her Spotify playlist that would blow the mind of freshman year Kristen Applebees?
Of course. I think she's been hanging out with Fig a lot, so I think it's like a lot of Nirvana.
All right. And the very last one, which we touched on briefly, you've rolled a crazy amount of nat 20s that have completely derailed Brennan's campaigns in your time as Intrepid Hero. Do you have a favorite, and do you consider this karmic justice for his role in getting you booted out of Game Changer Survivor?
Yeah. Absolutely, even though the role started first, so maybe his was karmic justice. I think the one this season is by far the craziest shit I've made Brennan have to agree to. And it was a group effort that was like premeditated on our group chat. So it just felt like a team win.
All right, let's wrap up the lightning round. I will let you finish up here, Christian.
Okay.
Awesome.
I told Pete before this, I brought up your penchant for rolling natural 20s. And I was like, so the first 2 seasons I watched Dimension 20 was Fantasy High and then Unsleeping City, where you rolled D20. And so I'm like, oh, this is a bit. This is pre-planned. This is a bit. It's like, no, they just do this every time.
Yo, literally, it just happens every single time. And we're always just like, damn, we thought about getting a camera on my rolling tray just because so many people are like, come on, it can't happen that often. Crazy.
No. At this point in time, it's like, it's like you're manifesting it into reality. Every season.
I made a deal with the devil somewhere. I didn't realize it, but it feels like I did.
Well, thank you very, very much for your time, Ally. This
awesome.
was absolutely wonderful. Fantasy High Junior Year airs on Dropout starting on January 10th. The first 2 seasons of Fantasy High can be found here on YouTube, not our channel, but over on Dropout's channel. Actually, Dimension 20 has their own channel with both seasons. So, you can, and they have a catch-up video if you don't want to watch all of those episodes, which are all fantastic. You should watch all the episodes. And you should also subscribe to Dropout because it's like the best darn streaming channel. Hey, we're like more than a minute. It's the best damn streaming channel that's out there right now. So we freaking love it. We freaking love you, Ally. Thank you so much for appearing on our little channel. And until next time, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, comments, do all those things. Thank you for watching as always.